Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Our topic of today is top 5 strategy in deploying global application with Appian. And I am Lorenzo Legnani. I am the Director of Professional Services in Southern Europe. And with me, we have...
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Enrico Mazzotta, Director of Professional Services for Central and Northern Europe.
Okay, so let's see what are our topic of our presentation. I'm going to introduce what are the global challenges in deploying global solutions as an overall introduction. And then with Americo, we are going deep and dive in the 5 strategies, which in the context of what is our main message, which is code less and deploy more. So we will talk about raising abstraction, removing the complexity. We will talk about user experience, and then we will talk about flexibility and speed of delivery. These are our topic of today, and in order to make this presentation a little bit more attractive, we decided to follow what is the theme of this Appian World. Tomorrow we will have a very special guest, which is Andre Agassi. So we want to talk... What's up? Sorry, that's fine. So we want to talk about that, speaking a little bit about tennis. Okay, so we choose one of the 2 most successful tennis players in the world, the one that won over 100 ATP tour in their career. So Jimmy Connors acknowledged that in an era of specialists, you may be a clay court specialist, a grass court specialist, or a hard court specialist, or you are simply Roger Federer. That's the same what we want from you. We don't want you to become a specialist in a specific Appian topic. We want to be you the Roger Federer of Appian. And this is what we are going to talk today about it. So let's follow these paths. Which are the challenges in the global solution following this paradigm? So if we think to the tennis courts, the different surface explain you what are the characteristics. There are surfaces that allow you to be more fast in your shots, and there are surfaces that allow you more tricky shots. And the same, depending on the kind of organization you have, you may have different challenges. So the simple one is the one below, when you have a global organization, really centralized corporation, you may have challenges, but these are quite simple. But then when this can become specialized vertically in a global distribution, so you have business diversity, or horizontally according the autonomy of the different operation of the company, then you increase your complexity, which obviously is much more on over the top. So these are the challenges that we are going to face about when we are talking about global solution. So let's look now at the top 5 strategy, and I pass the ball to my friend Americo for the first one.
Thanks a lot, Lorenzo. Thanks a lot. What I really want to talk about is more about the standard delivery life cycle. I'm sure that many of you are very familiar with the approach. So you always have a scope and inception phase, and then you move into the proper development life cycle, and then UAT and go live. And when we're talking about global solution, what we want to do, we want to raise abstraction. This is our first strategy. The scoping phase becomes very, very important because you want to address these 5 elements that you see in the slides. You want to first understand what are the geographic area that are going to target, that you are targeting with your global solution. Which are the geographic areas where this solution is going to be released. And then understanding what are the key processes and sub-processes that are going to characterize this solution, as well as the integration points. Integration becomes a very important element when releasing a global solution, especially because many organizations are distributed. They have legacy systems or systems that are different from business units or geographic locations. So you want to have a mapping of what are the integration points that you're going to include in your global solution. And then understanding what are the internationalization requirements that your user experience will have. So what are the key languages, for example, that you need to translate your solution into. And then last but not least, looking at the data. What are the data that are going to be included in the solution? But not only the ones included, but also the ones that need to be standardized, the data that needs to be migrated and data that needs to be consolidated. How did we do this with Appian? One of the best practices, or one of the approach, would be the definition of a global template. A global template can be seen as an Appian application which includes all the elements that I have presented before. Why is this important? Because the global template can give you the possibility to define a solution blueprint, which gives you a global understanding of at any time how your business is working, how your business is performing. And it's also very simple to describe to, for example, implementation partners or implementation members of your team. And it's also allowing you to reduce costs, because if you have a standardized template, it can be seen as a single application. You obviously need to maintain only one application rather than multiple applications. And obviously, looking at it in the context of reusability. So if you have a template, you can reuse the template multiple times. What do we include in this template? This is probably what you're thinking of. You need to think about what are the business process models, what are the business blueprint, what are the global processes and integration flows that you need to include. And also looking at the specific configuration, customization, looking also at the master data and transactional data that needs to be included in the solution. And then think also about how you're going to structure your data model. Try to map a data model which is going to satisfy almost all of your business needs, obviously with a certain level of flexibility. And then think about the key roles, the key authorization, the key controls, and a compliance framework that you need to include into the solution. And then also don't forget to include the specific unit testing, regression testing, or integration testing that are going to characterize your solution. I'm going to give you an example, a practical example. This is what many organizations in the financial services industry are doing, especially this is what we're seeing in Europe. We have a customer that had a specific business requirement. They needed to deploy multiple processes, 300 to 400 processes and use cases by the end of 2019 with 10,000 of users. So they utilized this approach of a global template in order to create a centralized process in order to capture and classify requests from all use cases. Imagine it as the typical case management scenario. They looked at the case life cycle, divided it into 3 steps. So opening a case, executing the task, and then finalizing the task. So the template that they created was characterized by these 3 stages, and for each 3 stage, they embedded in the solution some specific functionalities. In the case of in the first case, when opening a case, they had an automatic case assignment, and for all those cases that couldn't be automatically assigned, they had a manual redirection for exception handling, as well as a manual data entry to enrich and enhance the data set. And then the standard out-of-the-box document management functionalities provided by Appian. Once the task has been classified, then the task would be executed. So all the security settings and metrics, the automatic allocation of a task, that has been embedded into this global template, including exception handling and document management capabilities. And last but not least, the possibility to finalize the case, so to close the case, and obviously store all the transactional information, including an audit history. That said, I want to pass the ball again to my colleague Lorenzo to talk about the next strategy.
Yes, thank you, Ame. The next strategy is reducing complexity. And this is here where we are talking about low-code. Low-code is like in tennis, our first serve. If we shoot them well, we can really get winning the game, or we are really a step ahead. So let me give you an example, a practical example. What do we win with low-code in real life? So this is a way, like a couple of years ago, no more than that, we used to call a cab. No, to call a cab, we had to call a cab company, tell them where we want to go, wait a cab for a ride, tell driver again where we want to go, and then sit the car, and then after that, pay the driver. So there are many, many steps, but these are not the steps that are needed. Why we call it a cab? We call it a cab just simply to tell a driver where we want to go and sit down. This is our goal. And who really understands that are successful company, like Uber or Lyft? That's what they do. They made out an app that allowed that to do, focus only the single step that we want to take. And this is the same approach that we may have with low-code. So let's see that how apply with Appian. let's think not far than last year how to make a query in Appian. I don't know, this is developer jam. I expect you understand that. So to make a query, we need to define a query entity, then define the structure of our query, then define the structure of what we want to select, and then we need to define the condition in a logical expression and in filter, and then to tell the system how we want to paginate the data, and then finally consume the data. Is that really what we want? No. What really we want is simply query an entity and consume the data. And that's why today we have the Visual Query Editor, which is one of the most powerful examples of our low-code in Appian. You take really few minutes to do something that it took you half an hour or an hour, or struggle a student in the academy or in the certification, which was most of the case previously. So this is really important for low-code. The importance is to focus. If I have to speak a little bit about tennis, just to come back a little bit to our theme and make another example, one of the biggest fears in a tennis player are the unforced error. And the unforced error in tennis, you know why it happened? It happens because if you consider the time between the opponent send you the ball and you hit the ball and return the opponent, most 80% of the tennis players that fail is because they lose the ball the last 20 milliseconds before hitting the back, because they are distracted where my opponent is, what's it happening in the field, and they miss the shot. If you are focused on the ball and you reach to the shot till the beginning, to the end, and back to the opponent, you will drop down the risk of unforced error. And this is the same with the low-code. Use this tool. And if you want to make an effect shot, then open the snippet and just code the little code that make this query more and more powerful and dynamics. That's the way you want to use the low-code with Appian, and this is important. But low-code, as said, is just the first serve. Sometimes it can be winning, but it may not be enough. So we need another strategy, which is the first-class experience. We need to create that. This is another important key topic in our presentation. And when we talk about first-class experience, first we are talking about customer experience. So it's true, and it is acknowledged by different surveys. This is just one example, how customer experience is on the top of the trend in the digital transformation. So it is even on top of omnichannel or customer journeys on single data view. This is really a priority. And why is it so? It is because now the companies are more valuable as much more they are able to provide more customer experience and more measuring on that rather on their product. Again, here another simple example. We are in San Diego since a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, a little bit more. Who took a Lime in the last 2 days? A Lime scooter outside. Only few? I think should be more, or should try that. And if you take a Lime with the app, and then you go out, after you finish, the app asks you, how do you rate your ride? It doesn't ask you, how do you rate your scooter? It doesn't ask you, how do you rate your app? Or it will ask you, how do you rate your app if you say that you had a superior 5-star ride? That's why they are measured on your experience, and you as well. So this is a topic that you need to consider when you have to deploy the Appian application. But you should not look at that only from the customer perspective. The user experience is a 360-degree experience. It goes from the customers that are served by your application, is used by the employee that are using your application to serve the customer, and the manager that are behind. And they are doing that in different levels. So if you think that's from the customer, from a user experience perspective, they want to have data quality. When you call a call center, they want to be sure that you recognize them. They want to be sure that you have all the data of the previous interaction or something like that. They want to be on the channel, omni-channel. They don't want to have a barrier. They don't want to wait on the phone. They need an app, or they need to go to the web. And they need intelligence. The experience should be personalized for the profile of the customer. Same the employee that has to serve to the customer. Don't forget, this is your powerful and your sponsor within the company when you deliver the application. They want to have a single customer view. They don't want to navigate different systems to try to understand the information where they are. They want to be able to interact with the different channels, so to understand this and that. And they need to have real-time guidance on how to proceed. And last but not least, the management, the one who pay you for the application, they want to have cost control. They need to monitor the KPI, and they need to have a clear and efficient monitoring. So all of these things are possible now with Appian, because now we have rich interface, powerful low-code things, but also new and powerful integration with RPA, with machine learning, and obviously the record-centric approach, which is our core, is that one that helps you to deliver fast. That's complete the second part of mine, and then I pass back to Americo for the last two strategies of our topic today.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. I just want to conclude the presentation by talking about the last two strategies in the context of deploying more. And the two strategies are to allow flexibility and increase and improve the speed of delivery. If we are talking about the rollout strategy, we've talked before about the template approach, and rolling out a template is not very different from what you're already used to. So the three steps of the rollout, analyze, rollout, and optimize, are still going to be the same, but you're going to do it in the context of the template. So you're going to analyze your template definition. You're going to identify which are the specific countries or which are the specific business unit that you are piloting before. And then when you roll out, avoid approaching the big bang approach. Start with an incremental approach. Start with deploying or rolling out an MVP, a minimum viable product that can guarantee value for your organization. And then in the context of continuous improvement, optimize the definition of the template, optimize the way you are rolling out your solution, optimize the whole rollout process. If you are looking at, again, at this template rollout definition and how this could be distributed across different countries, across the different units of the organization, you might think, hey, I might lose focus here because I have the same template that I am rolling out on different parts of the organization or even on different instances of Appian. There is obviously an advantage because you can reutilize the same set of code, the same set of functionalities that you've already developed, and then include those specific localization requirements in order to roll out that template for your specific location. But then you might lose focus. Actually, Appian is supporting you with this, especially with the latest features that were introduced this year. The possibility to connect multiple environments working together can allow you to have a full control of the organization. So you don't have to be physically located into a specific country, but you can actually oversee and control and govern your rollout strategy and your implementation strategy by simply looking at one page. There are key features in the administration console and in the application designer that are allowing you to do so. And just to summarize, we talk about the global challenges, and we really wanted to give you a flavor of what you need to do to become the Roger Federer of global solution rollout with Appian. And just as a key takeaway, focus on flexibility. So try to build something that is reusable, try to build something that is dynamic, that can be reutilized multiple times. And then focus on simplicity. Low code can allow you to deliver solutions in a very, very fast pace.
Okay, and engagement. Engagement, we talk about. Engagement is a key. You need to make attractive and beautiful user interface and power of integration of Appian to deliver first-class experience. This is really a key topic. And the last, don't forget that all of these things will allow you speed of delivery. We have seen many cases, even this morning, we are talking about weeks to deliver not maybe just one, but even more than 1, 2, or 3 applications and hundreds of applications in a month. So this is what Appian allowed to do that.